Hello, welcome back to All for United WFC. Apologies. That took ages to go live as well. And when I clicked that, I was getting a bit worried that I wasn't going to start the stream. Ian, you are right. We were having a bit of a giggle about this before we clicked go live just then, of course. Got to be done.
That would be an amazing way to actually start the game, wouldn't it? Have the additional time before it's actually started. Like the ref's got to guess how much time is going to be added on.
How would that work? I don't quite know how that would work, but
well, yeah. Because if you say 4 minutes and there's actually only 2 minutes, then you finish on 43, not 45. Simple maths.
Yeah, I can get along with that. Evening to everyone in the comments as well. Good to see you all back as always. I'm not going to waste any more time. We'll do this in kind of order as we always do throughout the game. Obviously, a lot of positives to talk about with Turland and Fallon and all these other players as well we're going to talk about. We are going to dissect a little bit in terms of maybe the wrongdoings in the first half first. But I just want to come to you, Charlie, first off in terms of the lineup, because there was a couple of changes, obviously enforced changes now that we know through injuries, Jade and Jace as well. So Seline came in and, well, technically Gabby came in, but Grace was on the right. You happy with that lineup when you saw it? What was your kind of thoughts then? Obviously, it's I guess looking back in hindsight, obviously you can say that it worked, but at the time, were you pretty happy with that?
I thought we were playing Janssen in defence is what I thought was going to happen. But yeah, not like we're kind of used to it with Skinner, aren't we? Sort of sticking with the same lineup, particularly when they're winning. So no, not a surprise. I was a little bit concerned that obviously Jade wasn't there. That's a worry if she's injured again at this point in the season, and Jace as well. But yeah, it was an unusual setup when we first started playing. I think it took the players a while to settle into it, but not surprising. But yeah, Bizet at fullback was an unexpected turn up for the Bucks. But then actually, if we've got the injuries that we've got, if Jade's out and Sandberg's not back till Christmas, then someone's going to have to slot in there, aren't they? So yeah, it was. Most of it was as expected, but just a little bit worried about that back line. But it ended up being okay from 35 minutes onwards.
Yeah, Barry, same question to yourself, really. Obviously, Bizet at right back was the standout. I think, when we tweeted the team, we got a lot of people saying, no, that you've got that wrong. Bizet's not a right back. I was like, she is. Wait till you see the team's lineup. I'm telling you, she's at right back. But as I said, obviously it worked. We can look back at it now and say that it worked. But when that team came out, were you pretty happy with that? And I mean, the bench as well was kind of a mix of youth and experience as well.
I mean, yes, it did work. Because the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding very much says that we won the game 3-0. But let's be clear, we can thank Fallon tullis-joyce for that one, because without having her in the goal, we could well have been 2 or 3-0 down ourselves. Hello, I don't know where I went, but yeah, it was just a Friday I missed, I think.
Yeah, on the preview.
Lovely. Oh, lovely. Well, thank you. Much appreciated. Where's Louise, by the way, film? That's the more important one. Is she okay? I wonder if that's a film that Connor has seen. Probably not. Let's not go there. It's too early to go straight off. What I was really disappointed with is, again, we had this conversation all through last season, and we're having the same conversation again now. He put Leah Gorton at left back. He's moved Leah Gorton up to the left wing, where he's been playing Ella Toon for reasons unbeknown to anyone with sense. He decided to do that. And now all of a sudden, because we didn't have a right back, he's gone, oh, don't worry, everyone. What we can do, right, is put Leah Gorton into the position she normally plays in, take Gabby George, put her into the position that she normally plays in, and then we can just muck about on the other side instead. Let's play games over that one instead. And that's exactly what he did. Now, did it work out? It worked out insofar as Bizet is a player who plays on the right-hand side. Going forward, she's terrific. Do I want her as my right back? God, no. Because that's not what she is. And it's so frustrating when I mean, if only we had players who have made their career, who were bought, perhaps, having been a magnificent right back. Perhaps a player who, I don't know, has played for their country at right back. If only, Connor, such a person existed within that 11. If only there had been an international player who could play centre-back, who could have potentially covered for that said right back to go into right back to allow us to have a back four full of people that actually played in the positions they're meant to be in. He's going to get away with it because we won. And I will be the first one to stand here and go, look, we won. We haven't conceded any goals yet. But let's be 100% clear. We were playing Spurs. We've never lost to Spurs. Never, ever, ever lost to Spurs. We could have lost to Spurs. And if we had done, it was because Mark Skinner put Bizet at right back. And that wasn't.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because, as I said, obviously, he clearly likes this system of a lopsided. Well, it's a fullback. It's a winger at fullback, which is why we've seen Golden on the other side. And I think, to be honest, I thought it was going to be Aoife Mannion, if I'm being totally honest, because Aoife at right back has done very well. She played there in our most recent, the game before this one in the League Cup against Liverpool. She was the right back, so I would have just thought, oh well, that's a line for line, go in there as well. I mean, you could look a bit like that. She's also played there for international level as well, so Aoife is a solid enough right back as well.
I'm going to ask you a very simple question. It's a genuine question. If you've got the option between having Mannion at right back or Maya Letizia at right back,
Mannion.
Genuinely, you would put a Mannion over a Maya Letizia at right back.
Yeah, because Maya, I think, is better in
the
the
only
centre.
thing you have that's worse than that is deconstructing a burger. I might have to just take a minute here, Connor.
No, I prefer Maya in the centre. I mean, not that she can't play right. Well, as you said, she's played there before, but she hasn't really done for years. So I prefer Aoife. She's played. People could disagree with me. I don't really care. That's fine. I'll just push the Mannion train at right back. But either way, as we said, obviously it works. With Bizet at right back anyway, who has very good defensive qualities, I might add. We saw that at Spurs; they utilised that a lot, which is why I think Mark probably went for her there. But as I said, obviously at the moment it's working. There's a lot of questions about the midfield as well earlier on and things like that. I want to come back to that. That's going to be one of my last questions in terms of the midfield balance and so on, because I know there's conversations around certain midfielders and what to do there. But yeah, we'll get back to all that for sure. But yeah, we'll move on from the lineup. Let's talk about the first half then, because before the goal, I say the first half, the first 35, 40 minutes, because as has been referenced in the chat, it was worrying me a bit. And anyone who stands near me at a game know that if I start to pace about, it's because I'm getting stressed. And I started pacing because I was getting a bit worried with that first kind of 35, 40 minutes. But Charlie, what do you think it was that, because, well, I messaged you kind of halfway through the first half and just said, Spurs are cutting through us so easy, with the chance they had. Thomas, I think, had one towards the start. Spence had one. I think England had one as well. Yeah. What was it for you, do you think, was off before we got that first goal?
I think part of the problem was, and I'm not like, I love Fallon. Everyone's going to hear about that later. But I feel like there might be a little bit of an issue with her kicking off the floor. Perhaps I'm just presuming, because there was quite a period of time in that first half where we were under quite a lot of pressure, where we were playing it out from the back, and there was a long period of time where we weren't even getting it out of our defensive third whilst trying to do that. And Spurs were pressing fairly well as well, so I'm not just going to say we were terrible. I think they pressed really well, and we didn't cope with that. And it was just very, very slow and very ponderous, which we've seen previously. And you could see the frustration in some of the players. Grace Clinton at times you could hear her calling for the ball, because she was out on the right for large parts of that first 30 minutes, like on the touchline, calling for the ball, and it was never played to her. I still think there is an issue with the structure of the midfield. I don't think that quite works. I don't think we need Janssen and Nalsons in the middle, and I don't think we want them both there really. That I see that as a bit of a problem as well. They were on top of each other at times, and neither of them carried the ball particularly well. So when the ball came from Fallon to a centre back and then into midfield, it didn't go very well. It didn't go very far. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't meet its destination when they were making passes. So we were creating a lot of problems for ourselves. A lot of the pressure at times was from their press, but it was because we were just not doing a lot with the ball in the middle. And I do think that is a discussion point, is that midfield, because there was a lot of discussion last season about whether the midfield was good enough, about whether that was what was stopping us from going to the next step. And I think at the moment it's the midfield for me, outside Barry, of Mark playing midfielders in defensive positions. I get that, but I think there is a problem with that midfield pairing. And I'm in agreement with other people that I feel like if there is a defensive issue, or not actually, Janssen is a world-class centre-back and she should perhaps be playing there. And we've brought in a really good mobile central midfielder who I know is young, but Simi Awujo came on again yesterday and showed that she can impact the game and she can control the game a little bit better. So I do think the middle of the park is something to look at. And I also think, as well as them not carrying the ball forward and not creating very much and providing opportunities for the more attacking flair players to go and do their thing, I also think they were easy for Spurs to get around. Spurs are a good side. They've got a good team. So they're going to be difficult to play against at times. But I just think midfield-wise, for that first 30 minutes, they were poor from both an offensive and defensive point of view. That's where I think the problem was. And we just kept persisting with that same route out from the back. After that, about 30 minutes, she started kicking it out, Fallon. She started kicking it out of hand. And that seemed to work better for us. So at least a change happened. It was just an uncomfortable first 30 or so minutes.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And Barry, I'll throw this over to yourself as well, because, Mark, we spoke about this backstage, but Mark spoke about this in his interview with MUTV kind of after the game. That they'd spoke about it with the players, and he said that, the players all agreed that first half wasn't good enough, despite being 2-0 up. Obviously, both goals came very late in the half. But it just seemed a bit off for whatever reason. I think someone mentioned earlier on in the chat that the press that has been so good for us this season, it wasn't as, I was going to say unified. That's not the right word I'm looking for. Together is probably the right word. The press wasn't maybe as together. So what do you maybe think it was? Because as I said, it's really tough. I really want to just talk about Turland, to be honest. I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for me to talk about, which I do want to get onto in a minute. But that kind of first 40, where do you kind of think it may have gone a little bit wrong? Because you mentioned at the start, without Fallon, we're 1-2-0 down potentially in that open 30 minutes or so.
Well, I mean, I've already mentioned, Gabby George didn't have a huge amount to do down the left, because if you're going to buy Charlie, hi Charlie, in, out, doing the okey-dokey, haven't turned around yet. Gabby George didn't have much to do down the left-hand side, and that's because they were always going to look to penetrate down the left-hand side. Why wouldn't they? Because you've got an unrecognised right back, and I'll keep throwing it back to that. All I'm going to say is I had a gutful last season, and indeed the season before, of people trying to tell me that Katie Zellum wasn't the person that should be, not the six, not the person that should be roaming around covering the back line. And, Dom has been given the opportunity to do that. It's still a defensive position for her. And of course, Lisa Nilsson's been playing. And I don't know. I suppose what I find really interesting about that is that people saying, Katie couldn't do it on her own. We were being too attacking with some of the other players we were having. Now here we are with two people in front of the back four, both marshalling it. We haven't conceded a goal, and it's still not good enough. Now, I know that probably sounds a little bit hypocritical, having sat there and whinged like I did about the right back and the left back. But you are far more likely, I think, to concede by having fullbacks that are not traditionally defensive-minded than you are to have defensive-minded players in front of the defense. You say we conceded 18 shots to Spurs. Listen, they're still a good side. We can't sit here and just write them off as being absolutely pony. You don't reach an FA Cup final by not being very good at all. We did concede 18 shots, absolutely. As somebody said earlier up, that a lot of those were from distance. But again, it just comes down to, if you've got the players to play in that position, do so. Because I said you could bring Janssen. I did it cryptically, but for those that maybe didn't get it, in my opinion, Letitia should be going to right back. Janssen should be coming in with Millie Turner in the centre back situation. And then you just put Hayley Ladd in place of Dom. Job's done. It's not a massive problem. I don't. don't comprehend. And maybe, like I say, I'm not a FIFA qualified coach. All I will say is that I did manage a football team on Friday night, and I managed them to a 7-1 win with 3 different formation changes during the match. So, you know, it was a bit depressing. To be fair, the one was a bit like watching Man United because they just ran straight through the middle. I don't know what the defence were playing at. They got both barrels at half time. I wasn't impressed. But the point is simple. Like, just play players in the position they're supposed to be in. You have got to give Spurs credit. They learned from the FA Cup final. They worked incredibly hard. They were, in my mind, incredible in terms of the way in which they were trying to press us. And that's the thing. If you've got a way of playing where you want to play through the thirds and you want to play from the back and work it up to the top, you have to accept that sometimes you're going to lose the ball if they're pressing and you don't move to get those options available. So there was always going to be a bit of it, but genuinely, it did just remind me a lot of the FA Cup final because I was driving off to Barking at the time, and I just remember sitting there thinking, we're going to get one just before half time, just like Tooney did. And that's what's going to set us off. And then obviously, Her Majesty arrived and coronated her reign.
I like that. It's a nice little segue there.
I knew you'd like that.
But no, we're going to talk about Turland next, but I think just my little 2 pennies on it. I agree. I think, again, the midfield for me is a conversation point. So I think you've got 2 players in the midfield that I just don't think are working at the moment in this system. I said before the season that I would have Dom at centre back. I said that before we'd even kicked the ball, and I still stand by that. That if you're going to play her, you play her as a lone 6. I agree with Charlie. You don't need her and Lisa there. Swap Lisa out for a Simi Awujo or even Miyazawa if you're going to go down that route, or somebody else. Because again, Miyazawa was the best player on the pitch against Liverpool. And for me, when she came on again yesterday, she was unbelievable again. Her and Awujo, actually, I thought changed the game in the midfield. So they can't be far away from earning starts, in my opinion, because every time they've played, they've made a difference. Whereas I think other players maybe haven't done that. So I think there's definitely questions there to be asked. But as I said, when you're looking at the defensive record, we still haven't conceded. And that's what I think is a positive that I want to kind of go on to next when we talk about Turland and her 2 goals. That we haven't lost a game, we haven't conceded yet. We've won all 4, and we're not actually playing all that great. And I think at the moment, that is I don't know whether anyone disagrees with this, I think that's a good thing and a positive thing, the fact that we're not playing as well, yet we're winning pretty comfortably in most games, because it shows the potential in this team. That we're winning already like this. Yeah, some would argue it's not good enough, and I think that's fair, as we've just discussed. I think there's definitely areas. I've said for a while that there's definitely areas there. I feel like James has taken a leaf out of Barry's book there. But no, I said that for those of you who joined the TikTok live yesterday, I did say this. When you look back to the 22-23 season, and you look back at some of those games, obviously we look back at the season as a whole, when we nearly went on to win the league, as an amazing season. And it was. However, when you look back at some of those games, we weren't amazing in all those games. We won a lot of games late on. We were very scrappy in a lot of games as well. And that's kind of, I draw some similarities to this season. We keep just adding 3 points on the board and just keep finding ways to win. And hopefully that continues. Obviously we've got Brighton next. That's going to be tough. And then obviously Arsenal. And that will kind of give us a judgment of where we're at, albeit Arsenal maybe are not the fully firing Arsenal that we know of right now. But we'll come on to that maybe a bit later on. Right, here we go. Everyone's part of the show they've been waiting for. Let's talk about the woman who's on the thumbnail. She's in the title. Finally, she's got her goals, Charlie. I don't know whether just to ask you about both, to be honest, and just her overall performance, because she's finally off the mark. She blessed us with 2. Could have been 3 because she got one off the post as well just after half time. What did you make of her kind of, I guess, performance and the goals, itself? Because, I mean, that first one is one. I mean, both of them are great goals, but that first one's one hell of a strike.
Yeah, I think I was really pleased for her, because it becomes a narrative, doesn't it? When she's come to us to quite a lot of fanfare, and sort of come to us when she perhaps had other teams sniffing around as well. I think she was unlucky not to score against West Ham. I think she got in good positions and had a couple of good chances. And there was starting to be grumblings about her in the crowd in the game, I think. And I think against Everton, she cut quite an isolated figure. When I watched that game, that was quite a tough watch because she works really hard, Turland. But we bought her, or did we buy her? We got her. I can never remember if we bought players or not. Did we pay a fee for her? No. Amazing. What a brilliant bit of business. So we got her because although she can score different types of goals, and we've seen her score a couple for Brighton from outside the box, she is a really good 18-yard box forward in the sense that she's not going to run from the halfway line with the ball and leather it into the top corner. Someone likened her to a bit of a Robin van Persie around the 18-yard box. She's brilliant. And actually, for large parts of the game of that first half, again, she was an isolated figure, and there were lots of calls for her to keep pressing. People wanted her to press for 100 minutes. She can't do that. And also, if you're pressing on your own, it's a bit of a waste of time, isn't it? So there's no point in her doing that. And what happened was, when the ball was finally being played out to the wingers, the fullback wingers, Bizet in this case, she put in 2 brilliant crosses, and Turland scored from both. The first one was absolutely incredible. I thought it was a half volley, just it happened so quickly. But the fact that she hit that at such a height and in such a way to get the dip on it that it crashed in under the crossbar was just brilliant. And then the second one I liked just as much because she was under a fair bit of pressure. Galton was going for it as well. So there was a bit of sort of split attention there because there were 2 defenders. There was the goalkeeper, and she still won that ball really cleanly. And it was a really strong header into probably one of the few places where Becky Spencer, apologies, I got that wrong, wasn't going to get to. So I was really pleased with her because I think she's been working hard and hasn't got the goal that perhaps her work rate deserved. So I'm really pleased for her, and hopefully she kicks on now. But what we need is our other forwards, our wide players, to get the ball in the box, because what we've seen from her in the game yesterday is what we saw from at Brighton, is if you do that, she's going to make contact with it and she's going to force the goalkeeper to have to make a save. And they hadn't really been doing that, providing her with that service up until this game.
No, and that's sometimes that's what Ema during the first. It was nice to see a winger actually put crosses in, because we've not seen that in the first few games. And just while we're on that, actually, I want to come to Seline as a separate talking point. But Puzzington, I have put the poll in the chat for those of you who have already voted on it. It's very, very close. This one's going to be close, I feel like. So you've got a choice of Fallon, tullis-joyce, Elisabeth Terland, Seline, Bizet, or Gary George for this one. It looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race between Turland and Fallon for this one. So get your votes in. We'll come back to that at the end of the show. Barry, there's obviously a lot being made about, talking about her being a proper striker, a proper number 9, like an old-fashioned number 9. Is that kind of what we've been missing? Because as Charlie said, she's clearly worked incredibly hard. She's had a couple of chances, but she's not really had all that many to go off in the first kind of couple of games. But yeah, what did you make of her kind of overall performance and those 2 goals? Just to kickstart her goal-scoring United career.
Well, I mean, look, she has had opportunities. I think it would be wrong to just sit here and claim she hasn't had the opportunities to do that. She's I was looking at the stats before we came on. She's had 10 shots in the WSL in the 3 games that she's played so far. So, she's got a 20% conversion rate, which is, perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable. So, but, it's not a case that she hasn't had opportunities. What she hasn't had are opportunities that were either clear-cut or that were easy to take. And what I then found really bizarre is that actually the one she does take is one of those that 9 times out of 10, you'd probably end up skying over the bar because you just misconnect it. She hit it so sweetly, it was untrue. And again, listening to it on the radio, it was wonderful. I was going down the 406, properly giving it the yes, all the people opposite there wondering what was going on. But I was very, very pleased. I think we were missing a number 9. And again, we've been doing these shows a long time now, Connor. I've spent a lot of time talking about the potential of Russo. And this is what we wanted Russo to be, that player that was going to lead the line, that was going to get a glut of goals. And the reason why we were all so excited when Queen Elizabeth III signed was because she had I refuse. Simply refuse. What are you shaking your head for now?
Nothing. No reason.
Absolutely no reason.
Fine.
Is that not her name?
It is.
Elizabeth.
I love a nickname. Carry on.
Elizabeth is her name.
Yeah.
I'm not the one calling her Terry. Where's Terry in her name? Everybody's just randomly calling her Terry. I don't get it. It's like they've taken the L and completely got it wrong. Whatever. Queen Elizabeth III is the better coming of Alessia Russo. She is what we wanted Alessia Russo to be. Somebody who's already been a top scorer in the WSL, somebody who is capable of getting double figures year after year after year. And that's what we needed. We've always had, you go back to that 22-23 season that we were just talking about, Connor, what you're looking at there was the goals just spread out amongst everybody across the team. We were constantly talking about, somebody else is going to score, somebody else is going to score. It was just a consistent, lots of goals being scored from around the team. So it was very, very interesting to see how she was going to fit into the side. And I think it is very important that she has turned up now. She got a goal, and then within minutes, she's got another one with a header. You know, the confidence. All strikers live off confidence. If you're not scoring and you have a few games where you don't score, it eats at you, because then all of a sudden, the next time you're going in, like, that's your job. If you want to go down the Roy Keane route, that is her job. She has been purchased to put the ball in the onion bag. That's her whole purpose of being. If she's not doing that, she's not doing her job. Now, Fallon tullis-joyce is going home with a big fat extra wedge, you would imagine, because her job is to keep it out of the onion bag, and she's doing it. And the back four, they're helping her to do it. So they're probably getting a little bit of that wedge too. But Queen Elizabeth III, granted, she might be one of the richest people in the world due to the amount of money that we give her in taxpayers, dosh. But what we do have to say about her is she wasn't putting the ball in the back of the net. Now she is. And when she does that, it takes that monkey off your back. You're not sat there worrying too much about it now. You're like, it's all right, I've scored now. It's not a problem. You sort of reset the clock. And she scores it, and that clock took 5 minutes before she did it again. And therein lies the whole point. So we know the quality that Turland's got. We know the quality that Russo had. I think that's why a lot of people were so surprised at you last week, if I'm brutally honest there, Connor, as to how she was your number 9 in that team. But yeah, for me, I was super excited when we knew that Elisabeth Terland was coming. And this is why, because I absolutely knew that she had the ability to do that. It's vital to have someone that you can get that ball to. And like you say, this is where Bizet did superb, to get up there, get the ball on the right-hand side, to get the crosses in, just what she needs. There used to be this old thing about Sean Goater. They used to say, feed the goat and he will score. There we go. I'm not saying Elisabeth Terland is a goat, but if you feed her, she will score.
No, I agree. Well, everyone knows my thoughts on Turland, because I found it quite funny. At half time, I looked at my phone and all my Twitter notifications were people tagging me saying, "Is Connor okay?" after the two goals. I found that quite funny. But she just looked completely different. I think someone referenced this earlier on in the chat that, after that first goal, she settled. Second half, as I mentioned, off the post. Could have had the hat trick there. She just looked a lot better. After that, because it would have been, I guess, playing on her mind. She's brought in, she was joint second top scorer last season, and you go a couple of games, you're at Man United now. There's a lot of pressure, on you being that starting number 9. And I think, as I said, I don't know how many I said I think she'd score, but I definitely said double figures in WSL, and I think she will hit that kind of number. So, yeah, I'm really happy for it, because I said that first finish is both. I said earlier on, both of them are exceptional finishes, but that first one. Because I agree with you, Barry. That's kind of one of those ones. It's like, don't really know, that could go anywhere. That kind of angle, kind of cross came in, and the second was just a ridiculous cross. And that kind of leads me on to Seline. But Chai, I'll throw this over to you. That her kind of areas of her game, that we saw. I mentioned about earlier on. It was nice to see a winger actually putting the crosses in that we've not necessarily seen for a while. Yeah, what did you make of Seline's performance? Obviously, got the 2 assists. the second one is someone said it was like a Beckham cross earlier on, which was quite funny. But it was. I mean, she was putting in some unbelievable crosses on that right hand side.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit reminiscent of sort of that last season where someone said it earlier, when Onna used to put crosses in with purpose. So not just floating the ball in the hopes that someone will get on it, not just leathering it in and knocking it over everyone. She was playing it with purpose. So picking out a spot or a player. And when you have such a good number 9, which is what we have now, we have a proper number 9. If you put in a good cross, a pinpoint cross, or a cross into a good area, you'll find them or they will find it. And that's what happened. But I think with Bizet, what I really like is it wasn't just this game. So in the game against Liverpool, I thought she was really, really impressive in that game as well, probably second only to Miyazawa, who we also hope we might mention soon. And it's what we want. So obviously Jay started the first couple of games, obviously missed out, unfortunately, against Spurs for an injury. Hopefully she'll be back soon. But yes, I know Bizet came in as a fullback, but she came in to this game and she showed her attacking intent. And we've been missing things like that. We've been missing players who've and I'm not downplaying Lucia Garcia, loved her, but she was always just going to be a sub, which I think was a shame. But I think the last 2 or 3 performances that Bizet's had when she's come in and having played this game is she said, I'm ready now, and I can come in and I can make a difference. I also think her link-up play with Clinton was pivotal. I thought that was really, really important. I'm not a massive fan of Grace Clinton being on the right, and I would never advocate for that. And actually, after sort of 35 minutes, Grace Clinton did come more central, which gave Bizet more to do from an attacking and defending point of view. But that worked really well. So yeah, her performance was brilliant. I have to also be honest, Connor, I think you and I maybe talked about this when we saw each other after the game in the pub. I have to be really, really clear. I hadn't seen her play loads before we bought her, obviously, because you watch other teams. Mostly I do when they're playing us. I don't often go and watch other teams just because, even on the telly, I'm not fussed. So I was wondering if she was a bit of an Alexander Butner signing. Just get another player's mate in so they're happy. But there was clearly more to it than that, because she's been brilliant. When she's been subbed on, she's made a difference. When she started the game against Liverpool and this weekend, she's put an argument to start next time, and that's what you want. You want players who can come in and force the manager to have to make a decision. And you know what? If she doesn't start next week against Brighton, because Jay starts or someone else starts there, Miyazawa starts there, you know that if she comes on, she will absolutely make a difference, and she will take the game by the scruff of the neck, which is also what we need. So I think it's really exciting. She's incredibly young as well. So I'm already thinking, get her and Clinton signed up for 8 more years, please. Because she's one I wasn't sure about, and she's been incredible. And I loved her celebration when we scored the second goal. I love that. I hate this rubbish of don't celebrate against your old team. Even if we're the old team, I don't care. She was literally on the floor like flipping Russell Crowe in Gladiator in the Colosseum, which I absolutely love. Her loyalty is with us, and she celebrated as such, which I really appreciate.
No, absolutely. As has been referenced a few times in the chat about the celebration, that's for sure. And yes, best 60,000 we've ever spent. I mean, when I spoke to Alex about this on the preview show, he said that Spurs kind of shot themselves in the foot, really, with that one, that putting a release clause in that was so low for a player that is so talented as she is. But, that's our game on that one. And I think as well, it's just kind of been referenced. I've lost it now, Lot put it. This is the one benefit that I will stick up for the system, so to speak. That's the one benefit of doing it like this, because you become very lopsided on one side. So then the switch is there. In this case, Seline, it's been Leah in the first couple of games. That's what the idea is to set up your attacking fullback to have that space on the far side. So whether he goes back to Leah or to whatever when Jade's back, I don't know. But it does have that flexibility, and Wisely maybe got some extra space that maybe she wasn't expecting. Barry, over to you from a Seline point of view then. As has been referenced, obviously got the 2 assists. She had a solid game, certainly from an attacking point of view as well. And there was another question I was going to throw over you, but I can't find it, so I might have to come back to that one. But I guess, do you think she's done enough there to warrant a starting place? When Jade and Jace are back, that she should be starting on that right hand side in a forward position.
You can have a look for the question if you want, Connor. I will fill the gaps for you. I think that everyone must have a Bizet in their squad, absolutely, because what she provided on the right hand side is something that we've not had. Jays is superb, but she's a different type of player. Jays is one of those who's going to run at defenders, try and get the ball around them, potentially do a little cutback, that sort of thing. Whereas with Bizet, what you find that she's going to do is she is much more likely to whip in a good cross immediately. She could also try and beat someone and do the same thing. So for me, quite content to have both of them. I think Jay's, it was right to give her the opportunity at the very beginning of the season to maintain the jersey and have that ability to do that. But she scored. So it was the right thing to do to give her another one. But I think Bizet's come in and done all right in the games that she's played. And then what you found was that today, it was always going to be a good idea to have Bizet somewhere on the pitch, because who doesn't want to sort of sock it to their old employees as to like, this is what you get, you shouldn't have got rid of me, this is how good I am. Even Grace Clinton said that. Love a bit of competition, love that ability to show you sort of your old team what they're missing, sort of thing. So I'm quite content about it. I think that it would be wrong in my mind now to drop her. I will still maintain she shouldn't be playing at right back. I'm fully at Zen peace with the fact that I have zero influence on what Mark Skinner's going to do. And quite frankly, as long as we're winning and he's getting away with it, I'll stick with it. But I do fear eventually it will one day bite him in the bottom. But for now, whilst his bottom is still perfectly rounded without any chunks taken out of it, we shall celebrate the fact that Seline Bizet was superb on the right-hand side, and that her crossing was a delight for all to see.
I just think that's fun. I can see Charlie trying so hard not to laugh. But on the bottom there, I will just quickly address this because a reference Connor won't get. So I understand the reference. However, I've never seen what it's from. So I know what you're on about, but I've got no idea in terms of the context of why it was said or whatever and everything else. And RC is probably about right. After 98, I'm probably going to be struggling on that one.
You know the film it's from?
No.
I've just thinking about Gladiator.
I've just seen it posted about. I've got no idea what it's like.
You seen Gladiator?
Am I gonna have to Google? Hang on.
Look at him saying no with his little Santa laugh.
What is it? Let me have a look. Film, yeah, film or TV series?
Film or TV? Oh my dear Lord!
I feel like this is a popular film.
Popular? Like that's a bit like saying, yeah, the Titanic did well. Lord of the Rings got a few Oscars. Star Wars, cool. That's quite a well-known film.
I've just no idea.
Oh,
there's two of them.
Conrad, don't have a clueless Robertus.
It's in it. It's the absolute snotty little print.
I was going to say there's two apparently.
New Gladiator film coming out soon.
Yeah, 2024. Yeah. Didn't know that. There we go. I've learned something today.
Horror. You didn't know that.
Oh, gee, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You would have been a terrible gladiator. I don't think you'd even made it into the arena, because they'd have asked you to put a helmet on and that would have been game over.
Is it not a TV series?
It would have been like, just don't touch the hair.
You're talking about Gladiators.
It is, yeah. It is a TV series as well, isn't it?
It's very different.
Quite different.
Very different.
Right, okay. Because that I have seen.
You get to run around and fall on mats. In the real Gladiator, you get eaten by lions or stabbed.
Okay.
Bit different.
And Bradley Walsh emceeing. It's not the same.
Oh, that's only on the new one. It used to be John Fashioner and Ulrika Johnson. Awooga!
Right for a while.
I've no idea what's going on. This is literally like the TikTok live last night when all these guys, RC and Ella, were definitely there. And Ella, both Ellas were talking about all kinds of things. I've got no idea what they're talking about. And Rebecca was clearly there as well.
I keep seeing this, Connor. Can somebody help me out?
It's from yesterday. I've got no idea either what this is.
What is a brat summer? Because at first I thought it might have been a German sausage, but now I feel like it's very much gone beyond that.
Apparently, it's something to do with a singer, but I've got no idea who this singer is or what. We're all showing our age.
Honestly, I'm not being funny. I'm 42 years old, and I've just got better things to do in my life than constantly going on Urban Dictionary. Like every week, there's new slang.
You're so sick of that.
A brat is a German sausage, a bratwurst. Tell me you don't know that.
No, it's like, it's from a song, no?
Apparently it's a song. Is that Charlie somebody?
Charlie XCX.
Again, I don't know.
Movie,
obviously, because I know easily confused. Yes, I won't worry about it, Barry.
I'm a bit worried about it. I'm not going to lie.
You might not have been worried.
Should we get back to the fun?
There we go. It's a summer where you let loose, stay out late, act like a brat, and wear a lot of green, apparently. That's what Google's telling me.
So be a basically.
Want to know your meme.com.
Wear a lot of green.
That's what it says. In the specific shade of the album cover, ideally. So I don't know what shade the album cover is from old Charlie XCX. By the way, XCX, that's Roman numerals, right?
I've got no idea. I just want to get back to the football.
Yes, I Googled it because I'm 42, not 72. I still have the ability to know that Google can answer questions. I'm not one of those people who posts on Facebook and things like that. Can anyone tell me where you find this? Google could answer that question for you in less time than it took you to put on the internet. Anyway, continue, Connor. Where are we on to next? We've got to be talking about PTJ by now, surely.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I feel like we should we just quickly touch on the penalty before we do? There's not too much to dissect with it. It was a penalty. We scored. Is there anything that needs to be said on it?
Delicious. It was delicious. Absolutely stunning that it was from an Ashley Neville iffy handball. But I think that was like the third time they'd handballed it. That's my dogs. They agree. I think that was the third time they'd handballed it in the box in that game. So it's about time we got one of them. But it was sumptuous. I was surprised it was Maya. But I also like the fact that she was about 10 yards away from it. And then it was like Moses and the Red Sea. It just parted. And it actually strutted up there. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Bow! Like she was just there, wasn't she? Slotted it away. Because I thought it was going to be Turland and then Toon. But I think Toon was just looking after the penalty spot. Because Toon's scrappy, isn't she? So she was just looking after it, make sure no one disrupted the space for the new El Capitan. Brilliant.
Yeah, they have addressed this, and Maya did speak about it as well on her Instagram and in her interview, that this was planned, that she was going to take it anyway. But it was a bit, I was with you, Charlie, especially in the ground, watching it from, obviously from where we are in North Stand. And Maya was the furthest player back. And then, like you said, all of a sudden just ran forward like 20, 30 yards out of nowhere, took the ball off Toon. And it was a bit confusing, to be fair. But yeah, as I said, scored. And that's the main thing.
I'm still trying to take in the fact that we've gone from Brat Summer and Charlie XCX to John Cena, no less, which is a musical segue that I never thought I'd see coming. So that's quite something.
I wanted to sing the more modern song that The Undertaker came out to when he was The Undertaker on a motorbike, but I couldn't remember.
Oh, yes. Rolling, wasn't it?
Oh.
Keep rolling. Bit of Limp Bizkit. Oh, there we go, Connor. See, we're on.
I saw them about 4 months ago, so I know who they are. It's like, there we go, something I could join in with there.
No, bless you.
It's not
They're
very
quite
often.
good albums. Chocolate Covered Starfish or something like that, wasn't it? Was that not a name of one of theirs? It was. Why are you laughing at me? There was definitely something like that.
Yeah,
Chocolate
they've had quite a lot of big hits, to be fair, and they were good. They were good live as well. Anyway,
Something you can join in with, you said. I gave it to you and you were just silent for the entire thing. This is why we can't have nice things, Connor. Brilliant penalty from Mary Letitia. Didn't expect anything less. However, I'd be gutted if that penalty was given against us. Barely touches her hand. She's in the middle of running. If that's a penalty, I expect to see a lot given this season. I don't think it had even the closest amount, really, of that being a penalty. So I think we probably got given it rather than it being an actual genuine thing.
Well, the referee wasn't anything else. The absolute clown. Flipping heck. And right, we don't need to talk about her. Absolutely bonkers.
I think it was a bit inconsistent for both teams, to be fair, because we had a few decisions our way where I'm just like, what on earth?
No, bias. We need to be biased on here. I'm pretty sure the fourth official went, look, you got to give this one because you've let everything go. You've let them kick 10 shades of SH1T out of Leah Galton there. And, I want to say, and Bizet, you've let them just kick them. They've kicked Grace Clinton. Every time their players went down, she went, toot, stop play. We must stop play. But if our player went down, no, you must play on. If our player went off injured, you got to wait for 30 seconds. You mustn't come back on, even though that's only the rule in the Premier League, not the WSL. I have it under very good authority from me and the ref. But, when a Spurs player's off, no, come straight back on the pitch. Don't you wait. You're over. I really wanted Fallon to do an absolute flying header at the referee. That's what I wanted. Spearer like edge.
You've led us on nicely into Fallon. Let's talk about Fallon, because I feel like we've spent 47 minutes and we've not spoke about it too much just yet. But as we said, Charlie, obviously she had to make, I think it was 7 saves in the end throughout the game.
Yes.
What have you made of, I guess, just her United career so far? Obviously, her United season so far, because obviously 4 clean sheets is very good going. But she's been busy. She hasn't had to make what I would say exceptional saves. She's made a few very good saves, but she's not made one where I've gone, oh my life, how has she saved that? Not like
because she's a giant. Because she's a giant. She do this, and she can reach all parts of the goal.
But what's the big things you've noticed with her in terms of what she's added, to the back line this season, apart from just her shot stopping as well?
One, the big thing for me is how often she comes off her line to sweep up the ball. So split-second decision, off the line, collects the ball. That's what I really like. I also think what I liked about her last season is she's clearly the epitome of a professional. That's what I think. Good character. So spent all of last season sat on the bench at times when there was a circus going on around her and just kept her head down and worked really hard. And now I'm glad that she's showing us and potentially Emma Hayes, although I'm not bothered if United players get picked for the national teams, club over country. She deserves to get picked for the international side as well, I think. But she's also, and it's not because she's just massive, I think a couple of seasons ago, I remember us raving about Mary Earps coming and claiming everything that came into the box or punching away crosswise, those sorts of things. And then last season, Mary was dreadful at that. Whereas Fallon's come in and claims everything. She's really strong as well. I just think, I think for any other side, if you'd had a goalkeeper of the calibre and character of Mary Earps and they left, you would be massively concerned about what was going to happen in the goalkeeping position. Don't yawn at me, rude.
It's been a long day.
Fallon has come in and it's like she's been between the sticks for 3 or 4 seasons. Absolutely brilliant. And again, is another one where we don't want to go through the cycle of having to try and replace her in the next year. So we need to tie her down as well. But yeah, phenomenal. She'll never be lobbed also, touch wood.
Oh, don't say that, Charlie. You set that up now.
Also, the thing she did that I loved most yesterday was there was a moment when she gathered the ball really quickly because she came off and she wanted to throw it as quick as she could. but the Spurs players just ran around her. So she did like this little barrel turn and roll, peeled away from it like a scrum half in rugby. But yeah, she's just brilliant. And I think she knows really well when to take the sting out of the game. She knows when to slow things. But yeah, that was it. Yeah, Ella, that was it. It was incredible. But I just think it's brilliant. But the main thing is she comes off a line. For goodness sake, she comes off a line to cut out an attack.
Yeah, and kind of over to you as well. I think what Charlie just said there, but I think for me, she comes off a line, but she comes off a line at the right times. It's not just every single time she's out, and trying to close it down. I think Emma said this earlier. Her decision making is unbelievable in terms of when to come off a line and not.
She made 7 saves against Tottenham Hotspur. 7. Technically, we could have lost that 7-3. Just saying. Now, were all of them world class? No, absolutely not. Some of them are the bread and butter, what you would expect a goalkeeper to do. Some of us, Connor, some of us, us people that sit here and give our opinions but don't really know too much, agenda-driven drivel that we obviously sit here and spout time and time again. Clearly said that PTJ should have been our goalkeeper last season. This is how good she is already. Now, when we had, Charlie's mentioned the circus that was going on at the beginning of last year. Just imagine if we'd have had Fallon, tullis-joyce at the beginning of last season, when we were worried about what was going on with our back four, when we were worried about why we were conceding more. I genuinely think we would have had a better opportunity at knocking on the door of the top 3 again had we had Fallon, tullis-joyce in goal. I called for Fallon, tullis-joyce to be given the number 1 jersey and for Mary Earps to be put on the bench until she decided what she was going to do. To this day, I find it crazy that we took a player that we knew was going to leave us. She told us she didn't want to be with us anymore. But we still played her as the goalkeeper. And it blows my mind, because whatever happens, if you don't want to be a part of our team, don't be. Like, I'd lose all of our best players if they really don't want to be at the club, because you can't get anywhere with players that don't want to be playing for you. So, it's why I was so annoyed with her right at the very beginning. And, I would argue there is a bit of pressure on Mark Skinner with regards to how certain people might react to decisions that he makes and things that he does. If he doesn't play Mary Earps and he plays Fallon, it doesn't work. You are doing a lot of second guessing. It's easy for us in hindsight to sit here and say what we would and wouldn't do, having seen the entire game pan out. But like I say, I called for this last year, so I don't feel like this is hindsight. This is very much foresight, and I guess that to sort of finish that off, really, I would just say that this is why Mark Skinner would do well to heed the words that come from my mouth regularly, because I was right in 22-23 and we nearly won the league. He ignored me completely in 23-24 and we nearly got relegated. So you'd like to think that in 24-25, Mr. Mark Skinner would, realise that having a UEFA licence is brilliant, but actually just common sense and putting people where they're supposed to go, and thinking logically about these decisions you're going to make would work. I think she's brilliant. Absolutely just a genuine delight, both as a person and as a goalkeeper. And I'm just so delighted that she plays for us. We need to make sure she's signed up till 2030, for sure.
No, I agree with that. And someone referenced her kind of vocal ability as well on the pitch, that she's obviously, commanding the back line a lot as well. And this is a clip I tweeted earlier from our interview with her earlier in the summer. And that's something she spoke about in terms of staying alert in a game. If you're constantly communicating with your back line, you're always in the game and you're always involved. So you're always focused on, if you lose the ball, that you can quickly switch on to what's around you. So, she spoke very, a lot about that when I asked her that question. I think we're seeing that, this season as well. So, yeah, she's had an unbelievable start to the season. I think long may it can continue. What are you doing, Charlie?
So I noticed the top of my cup was here, and I thought it looked odd. So I was trying to move it, and then I thought that just looks odder now, but I've committed to it. So there.
I was wondering what you were doing.
We're just waiting for it to fall off now. Oh.
I don't know. Fine.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think there's so much we could say on Fallon. We'll come to player of the match in just a second. There's a couple of final things. I just want to quickly bring this up because welcome back. I do recognise your name as well. That's we were just talking about this in our little private chat when this comment came through, and you're saying you subbed before we had 1K. That seems like such a long time ago now. In terms of 1K, I don't know when that was. 2-3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. It's got to have been. It's been a while. So welcome back. Hope you're doing well. To the channel, we're always happy to have opposition fans in here, as long as they're obviously respectful and understand this is a United channel first and foremost. But where do you rank your team at the end of the season? Where do we all where do we all say that we were going to finish? I think I definitely said third. I'm sure I did. I know Barry, you went first.
I think I said third. Yeah.
So
we're in our game now. We're top by 2 points.
I know I don't have them in hand. I think I'm quite happy with it because it kind of keeps us under the radar a little bit. I think.
Yeah. At the moment, I think Mark Skinner said this, didn't he? I think it was his pre-match when he got asked about this. That at the moment, there's no real pressure on them. No one's really looking at United. But he said if you win a few more games, I agree with him. I think if we win Brighton and Arsenal, then I think the media attention is going to switch to United a lot more than it probably already is at the moment. Yes, someone's asked about Anna Sambo. We're not going to see Sambo for a while. She's out until probably around Christmas time. Mark spoke about that. As I said in the last show, he's kind of got his timeline a bit wrong because he said Christmas then to 2 weeks, which Christmas is not 2 weeks away.
She's still filming.
What are you on about?
Adam Sandler.
I'm resigning from this channel tomorrow.
Andy Sandler, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Big Daddy. What a film. Connor, wait, it is called Big Daddy.
He didn't even know what Gladiator was.
Is it called Big Daddy? Is it called Big Daddy?
I don't know.
Someone answer so I don't keep saying Big Daddy.
I don't know.
He was a wrestler. Do you know what Big Daddy's actual name was?
What's it called, that film, guys? What's that film Adam Sandler's in where he's looking after someone else's kid?
It was Big Daddy.
What? That seems mad now. That seems like a really strange film name.
I mean, it is. But it was a strange name for a wrestler as well, whose real name was Shirley Crabtree.
Big Daddy. Remember The Big Show as well?
The Big Show, good old Paul White.
I reckon Fallon could suplex him. Off you go. Over the top.
With that question.
Oh my God. I'll answer the football questions while you two are carrying on.
Question? What was the football question?
Paul just asked about will Emma Watson getting minutes against Brighton. I highly doubt it, to be honest. I think if she was going to get minutes, we would have seen it against Spurs. She might be on the bench again, maybe. But yeah, I think we'll wait and see. Yes, I have actually, both of them. So I do understand those films. I've seen quite a few Sandler films, actually. To be fair.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot to understand them.
What are you trying to say?
Like, I mean, oh yeah, really understand Step Brothers, the film. Really get the message. What, the Will Ferrell thing? Okay. How about watching, I don't know, I can't think of a film now. I don't know. Chocolat. You really get the message of Les Miserables. It's not just a sing-song, it's about the French Revolution.
Never seen that either. That's to be fair, is that something that I would watch? Just no.
I don't have time for anyone who doesn't watch musical theatre. I love a musical.
Hey, I've seen one musical and that was Hamilton, and that was brilliant. But That's a different kind of musical theatre than the others.
Wait, what?
I
Rewind.
still watched Hamilton.
Hamilton's a bit more. It's different, isn't it? To
What I
to
find
the
really
typical
bizarre,
musical.
like genuinely bizarre, Connor, and I'm afraid I've got to call you out on this, is that
God.
we often talk about films and you say to me, I don't like watching films, they're too long. Hamilton's like the longest musical known to man.
Oh, too long, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Have seen
And
it.
you're just like, oh, let me watch more. But yet
Oh.
you can't watch like 90 minutes. I mean, Gladiator's the same sort of length. You'd enjoy that if you enjoy these long marathons.
Someone's asking if I've seen 6. I have. I absolutely love that.
I've not seen 6, but I love the songs.
Whoa, whoa, with 6. Is that Henry VIII? He was a king.
Oh, it's brilliant. He had 6 wives, not all at once, because that would be a bit wrong. That's why
because he was perfectly normal other than that, wasn't he? You know,
Connor,
fairly normal for the time, yeah.
Connor, who was Henry VIII's second wife?
What is this? I have no idea. One of them was called Jane. That's all I remember.
2 of them were called Jane, actually. But...
Oh, okay.
It was Anne Boleyn. Don't ask me the third. I don't know, but I know the second one was Anne Boleyn.
First one was Catherine of Aragon. She was divorced because, and that's how the Church of England came about, because the king just thought, oh, I'll have a fight with the Pope. That's an easy thing. If you won't let me divorce them, I'll just make my own church. You've got to admire it, really. That is a level. Like, you're not going to be. That is like the ultimate kid's fantasy, that, isn't it? Like, to just go, do you know what? If the mum says no, I'll just go and make my own thing. Yeah, what's that? I can't have pizza for dinner. I'm just going to make Pizza Hut. Not bothered. And what?
Yeah. Sums it up, to be fair. I don't know what was going on. But I don't know what this comment's supposed to be a reference to. Where is it? Someone just said, now it makes sense, because I'm like, yeah, that. I don't get what the meaning behind this is. But
because it's boring.
Hang about. I'll have no Hamilton slander in here.
Don't know if it's boring. Haven't seen it.
It's amazing. It's on Disney Plus now, that's why you can watch it. The original Broadway one. There we go. Anyway, right. Should we get to player of the match while there's still some people watching this? Because the poll has been running for a while. I'm going to leave the poll running for another 2 minutes or so while we go around the panel.
Just about.
Has everyone got a vote, have they?
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah, just about. I've voted for Fallon, tullis-joyce was my vote, because I think she kept us in the game that first 30 minutes or so, and has come in and just done a really good job in what could have been quite difficult circumstances. So yeah, I've given her the vote. Just pipped Turland for me, because that first goal was out of this world. Puskas nominee.
I think that's fair enough. Barry, who are you going for?
I didn't vote, so therefore my voice has no weight, I believe is the understanding of how politics works. But had I voted, had I not been on here, busy, then, I would have voted for Fallon, tullis-joyce, because we would have been well behind had it not been for PTJ. So, yeah, I would have gone for PTJ with Queen Elizabeth III narrowly in its second spot.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, I'm going to disappoint and not make it a full house and go for Turland. Of course, I've got to go for Turland. I've been bigging her up all summer. So the first opportunity I get, I'm giving it to her. Because, as I said, the first finish is unbelievable. The second one is incredible as well. And she's off the mark, and I feel like she's going to be such an important player for us for the season that I'm glad that it came now. Than kind of 4, 5, 6, 7 games in, and she still potentially hasn't scored. I'm glad that she's got that off her back already, and can hopefully kick on now into more things. But I think Fallon's definitely a fair shout as well. It was definitely between those two for me. And I think looking at the percentages, the chat agree. Turland has just won it. Did you
just vote? Was it level and you just went, I'm going to click a vote now?
So hang on, these percentages don't add up.
How many of your 75 accounts did you use to vote for her?
Where's that on?
I was going to say I've ended
He's taking Gabby's
the.
one and puts it on to Turland so that she
They'll be
wins.
rounded. They'll all be rounded. If the three of them have been
Yeah, Turland's probably on 49.
have been rounded
Either-
down.
I'll sort it afterwards.
But that'll be what it is. They've all been rounded down.
I love
Yeah.
the probably.
But Turland, then Fallon, then Bizet, then Gabby as the order of people in terms of what they voted for in the chat. But yeah, not many people could have scored that first. I agree. I think lots just put the same as well about that, not getting enough credit for that first finish. Yeah, no, I agree on that one as well. Certainly the kind of angle it's at. Right, I want to quickly come to a quick fire question that Arcee asked a bit earlier on, because this is kind of a non-United related. It kind of it does link to United, but it's not a United story. I had to rephrase that.
I didn't think you said RC. I think you said RC. Like, oh, he's a bit RC.
No, Arcee asked us earlier. And for those of you who haven't seen, Catherine put a piece out earlier on about Chloe Kelly. Now, there were previous links with Chloe Kelly and United. The report that Catherine put out earlier that there is kind of tension in the air around her contract and that she could well leave Man City. Is this a player you would take at United? Because it would likely be on a free.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like my brain wants to go no because she plays for Man City, but on a free, I think so.
I would say no, to be honest. I don't know.
No.
I can't look past the City, like.
Oh, she was a Burke. I forgot that.
Do you know what? I don't even care about that. For me, it's a no because where really is the added game? Like, we've just got Bizet, who's doing really well. We've got Jays, who we know is quite capable. We've got Leah Goulton, who's all right on the left-hand side. She scores a few goals. We've got plenty of players that can do that. For me, if we're going to go and get somebody in on free, it needs to be a fullback. We've got to stop just overloading with these midfield and attackers. It's got to be working on the defence. We've got one pregnant left-back and one right-back who's got a season ticket to A&E. So, we've got to get ourselves sorted and make sure we've got a bit more. And if Eric's listening, that goes for you as well, Sunshine. Just more fullbacks at Man United, please, would be lovely.
I would take Carolyn, though.
Well, that's the other thing. Carolyn's a free agent come January. So,
imagine.
Yeah. I think that's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Good question from John Hume has put, is he any better than what you have? And actually, I think now, no. We've got a 22-year-old Bizet. Is she 22, 23? Maybe younger.
Yeah, early 20s, 22, I think.
I think I've changed my mind. If we can get Carolyn in, you get her. But no, I'd be quite happy with Jason fighting it out for the rest of the season.
Because I also think what Kerry's put there is an interesting point as well. The kind of salary she's on. If you're another player, that kind of disrupts probably the system they've got going, because there's all going to be all kinds of things there. And I wouldn't be massively against it, but I wouldn't be going like, yeah, we need to go and get her.
On a situation where we're paying inflated wages, there's then kind of an own player regardless. So yeah,
I'll just say I rate Chloe Kelly about as highly as I rated Beth England.
See, I agree with your analogy, but I don't agree with your Beth England rating.
Oh, I know you don't. But that's just I've been proven right on that one. Anyway, as you're on the in, and I know that you've got to get off, but I do need somebody to explain to me, because it's been bothering me ever since we spoke about this towards the beginning. How has Elisabeth Terland got the nickname of Terry?
It's just what her teammates have called her, isn't it?
I get that, but there must be a reason why.
Right.
They didn't just go, what should we call you? You can be Terry. There's got to be a reason behind it.
Next time they do fan panels where you can ask questions, you need to ask that. And then you can suggest Queen Elizabeth III.
Oh, blimey. Oh, she went again.
Has it only happened twice this time?
So far, yeah.
Nice. I don't know why it is.
Not me.
Do you know
there we
about-
go.
No, I don't.
Oh,
Uh,
nobody knows.
I mean, just, yeah.
Yeah,
This is a more important. That's a more important question.
It's only City Sky Blue if you choose to make it City Sky Blue. I would argue
Why are you giving them copyright over?
City Sky Blue does not have a stag on it. So, you know, yeah, that's me. I'm a Manchester City fan, clearly. I'm a Manchester City fan. I'm so much of a Manchester City fan that I come in here and talk about how good Manchester United are. Yeah, absolutely, entirely.
Well, as we've seen in the last 24 hours, you could put anything out on the internet. And I think people, well, to be fair, not just the last 24 hours, you could go over the last few months, you could put anything out on the internet, people believe it. But there we go. We've covered it all tonight. We've done, I don't know what we've covered. We've covered everything. Anyway. I will answer this one, then I think we're going to have to wrap this one off because I've got another show in 15 minutes. In terms of our chances, I think there is a good chance, but I also think there's going to be about 10 other teams that are also after us. So
Go away.
we're in the mid. The thing is, I said this on the show last year, and the interview I did with Tyler at the time was obviously very well connected to Carolyn Courage, that Carolyn wanted to move to United. And it was only really the fee with us and Courage that kind of stalled that one. So now there's no fee that's needed. If we're in the conversation, I think there's a good chance. But as I said, there are probably loads of other teams. And that is another good point. The number she wants is currently available. So, yeah, it's interesting.
So we
Keep an
haven't
eye.
decided the 10 yet. What is going on?
Sorry.
What do you mean?
Retired
It is
the 10.
actually, I agree.
What? Oh, yeah, we retired it, didn't we? What's going on?
Barry wants to retire.
We've got the 10 shirt available. I said, have we not retired the 10 yet?
Yeah, we should do.
Don't know about that. It's Carolyn's next, hopefully.
Carolyn wants it, and then we just give it the 10.
There you go. Yes, Ema's rounded the show off perfectly. There you go. Football musicals history. There we go. Exactly. We do it all. So if there are any new people watching, thanks for staying with us.
Always better to go off piste rather than the other way around.
Then.
I don't want to. I don't know what to say. I'm rounding this off. Yes, and that. Let's do it new today as well. But there we go. We'll be back later in the week. Obviously, we've got Brighton on Saturday, so we'll be back doing the preview on Thursday. I'm going out of my head now. Make sure you're liking this video and subscribing. If you're interested in the Phallon Bundesliga, by the way, and Bayern Munich, and there we go. We will be laughing at Arsenal a little bit because we're going to be talking about Bayern's demolition of Arsenal over on All for Women's Football in 13 minutes. So I need to make sure I get myself over to that. That's not me, by the way. So I definitely won't be. Maybe we'll all rock up in. To be fair, the camera's got out of focus. This is a dark green, so you can't really see it on the camera. So
Dark green. Why are you wearing Plymouth Argyle colours? Oh. Oh.
I know Charlie's the only one in United colours, really.
My new shirt on.
United through and through. That's
I got the blue one as well. Look, guys.
Of course.
I got El Capitan on this one. Anyway, I know no one asked. We don't care.
Anyway, it's been a good show. Thank you to these two for coming on this Monday evening, as always. As I said, we'll be back on Thursday, 7 o'clock, same time as always. Follow all of our socials at allforunitedwfc on absolutely everything. And we shall see you guys later in the week. Thanks all.